Reality bends to whoever's watching. Quantum physicists discovered something that changes everything. Your consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it actually selects which version you experience. This isn't mystical theory anymore. It's measurable science with a practical upgrade system that can shift your entire life trajectory. Scientists first noticed something strange in quantum experiments that would fundamentally challenge everything we thought we knew about reality. Particles behaved completely differently when observed versus when left alone. A photon could exist in multiple states simultaneously until the moment a conscious observer looked at it. Then it would instantly collapse into a single definite state. The mere act of conscious observation changed the fundamental nature of reality at the quantum level. What absolutely blew researchers' minds was discovering this wasn't just some weird lab anomaly. The observer effect started showing up everywhere they looked. Electrons, atoms, even larger molecules, all responding to conscious attention in ways that defied traditional physics. Nobel Prize winners spent decades trying to explain this away, but the evidence kept mounting. Your awareness doesn't just passively receive information about reality, it actively participates in creating what becomes real. The implications hit like a freight train. If consciousness can determine the behavior of particles, and everything in your world is made of particles, then your awareness is literally selecting which version of reality manifests around you. This wasn't philosophy anymore. It was hard science suggesting that the universe operates more like a responsive system than a fixed mechanical structure. But here's where it gets really wild. Recent studies in neuroscience revealed that your brain processes this quantum selection process automatically, millions of times per second, below your conscious awareness. You're constantly collapsing infinite possibilities into your specific experience without even realizing it. The question that keeps scientists up at night is simple. If your consciousness is already selecting reality, what happens when you learn to do it intentionally? Your brain processes over 11 million bits of information every single second, but only allows about 40 bits into your conscious awareness. Think about that ratio for a moment. You're literally experiencing less than 1% of available reality at any given time. The other 99.9% gets filtered out by what neuroscientists call your reticular activating system, a network of neurons that acts like a reality bouncer, deciding what gets past the velvet rope of your consciousness. This filtering system isn't neutral. It's heavily programmed by your past experiences, beliefs, and most importantly, your habitual attention patterns. Whatever you consistently focus on literally rewires your neural pathways to notice more of the same. It's like installing custom software in your brain that automatically scans for specific types of information while ignoring everything else. Most people have accidentally programmed their attention to spot problems, limitations, threats, and evidence supporting whatever they already believe about their circumstances. Here's the kicker that changes everything. Your attention filter doesn't just decide what you notice, it actually influences what shows up in your experience. When you're programmed to look for financial struggle, your brain becomes a heat-seeking missile for bills, expenses, and reasons why money is scarce. It literally stops registering opportunities, resources, or abundance indicators that don't match your programmed search parameters. You're not living in an objective reality. You're living inside your attention's custom-built simulation. The most mind-bending part is that this process happens so automatically. Most people think their filtered reality is the only reality that exists. They have no idea they're walking through a world full of possibilities their attention system has been trained to ignore. It's like wearing glasses with a specific prescription. You forget you're seeing through a lens until someone shows you what happens when you take them off. But what happens when you realize you can reprogram the lens? When you understand that changing your attention patterns literally changes which version of reality your brain allows you to experience. That's when the real upgrade begins, because your current circumstances aren't your permanent address. They're just the result of your current observation settings. The reason timeline shifts feel absolutely impossible for most people comes down to what researchers call attention addiction. Your nervous system gets chemically hooked on observing specific patterns, even when those patterns create misery. Your brain doesn't care if the pattern is positive or negative. It just craves the familiar neurochemical cocktail that comes from recognizing what it expects to see. Drama, struggle, lack, familiar problems. These become like drugs to your observation system. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Every time you give attention to an old pattern, you're essentially casting a vote for that timeline to continue. Your observation energy becomes trapped in a feedback loop, constantly recreating the reality you claim you desperately want to escape. It's like being stuck in a movie theater where the same film plays over and over, but you keep buying tickets because it's the only movie you know how to find. Most people try to change their external circumstances while keeping their internal observation patterns exactly the same. They want a new relationship while constantly scanning for signs of rejection. They want financial abundance while their attention automatically locks onto every expense, every bill, every reason why money is tight. They want better health while obsessively monitoring every ache, pain, and symptom. The external world can't shift because the internal observer is still selecting for the old timeline. The timeline selection process works through what quantum physicists call coherent observation, sustained, focused attention that builds momentum in a specific direction. But most people's attention is scattered, chaotic, and completely unconscious. They spend 5 minutes visualizing their dream life, then spend the next 16 hours observing everything that contradicts it. It's like trying to tune into a new radio station while constantly switching back to static. Your current reality exists because you've been an incredibly consistent observer of it. Every day, your attention automatically scans for the same people, problems, patterns, and possibilities. You've become so skilled at noticing your current circumstances that you could probably spot them with your eyes closed. The neural pathways for observing your existing timeline are like superhighways in your brain, smooth, fast, and completely automatic. But here's the breakthrough that changes everything. Those same neural mechanisms that keep you locked in old patterns can be hijacked and redirected toward any timeline you choose. The observer upgrade isn't about positive thinking or wishful hoping. It's about systematically retraining your attention to become as skilled at noticing your desired reality as you currently are at noticing your unwanted one. And that shift starts the moment you realize your attention has been running on autopilot. Breaking free from the attention trap requires understanding something most people never realize. Your mind starts hijacking your observation system within seconds of waking up. The moment consciousness comes online, your brain immediately begins its automatic reality scan, searching for familiar reference points from yesterday's timeline. This morning scanning ritual is where most people unknowingly lock themselves back into the same experience they fell asleep trying to escape. Think about your typical morning routine. Before you're even fully awake, your attention starts cataloging the same worries, checking the same problems, reviewing the same limitations. Your phone becomes a portal straight back into yesterday's reality, the same news cycles, social media feeds, and digital environments that programmed your attention patterns in the first place. Within 15 minutes of opening your eyes, you've already voted thousands of times for your old timeline to continue. This automatic scanning process is incredibly sophisticated. Your nervous system has spent years learning exactly where to look for evidence supporting your current circumstances. It knows which thoughts trigger which emotional states, which memories reinforce which beliefs, and which external cues activate which internal patterns. You've accidentally become a master at recreating your existing reality, and your brain rewards this mastery with the comfort of familiar neurochemistry. But here's where it gets really sneaky. Your attention system has learned to disguise old patterns as new experiences. You think you're trying something different, but you're actually just experiencing variations of the same fundamental theme, a new job with the same workplace dynamics, a different relationship with identical emotional patterns, fresh circumstances containing the exact same core limitations. Your observer hasn't actually shifted timelines, it's just found new scenery for the old movie. The addiction runs deeper than most people imagine because your identity becomes entangled with your attention patterns. Who you think you are is largely constructed from what you consistently observe about yourself and your circumstances. Changing your observation focus feels like losing yourself, which triggers every survival mechanism in your nervous system. Your brain interprets attention shifts as existential threats, flooding you with resistance, doubt, and compelling reasons to go back to familiar patterns. This is why willpower fails, and why positive thinking feels so shallow. You're not just trying to change your thoughts, you're attempting to rewire the very mechanism that constructs your sense of reality and self. Your current attention patterns aren't just habits, they're the foundation of everything you believe is true about your life. Upgrading your observer means being willing to question the very nature of what you consider real. The breakthrough comes when you realize that your attention patterns aren't you, they're just software running in the background of your consciousness. And like any software, they can be updated, debugged, or completely replaced with a better operating system. But first, you have to catch the old program in the act of running, which means developing the awareness to notice your attention in real time before it defaults to yesterday's reality scan. The daily observation reset technique works by creating what neuroscientists call a pattern interrupt, a clean break in your attention stream that prevents your brain from defaulting to yesterday's reality scan. This isn't meditation or visualization, it's attention hijacking at the neurological level. designed to literally rewire your observation system in real time. The process takes exactly 5 minutes but creates ripple effects that last throughout your entire day. Here's how the reset actually works. The moment you wake up, before checking your phone or engaging with any external stimuli, you're going to spend the first 60 seconds in what's called neutral observation. Simply notice your mind's automatic scanning pattern without trying to change it. Watch how your attention immediately gravitates toward the same thoughts, worries, and mental reference points it visited yesterday. Don't judge this process. Just observe it like you're watching someone else's mind at work. This initial observation phase is crucial because most people have no idea how predictable their attention patterns actually are. Your brain follows the same mental routes every morning, like a commuter taking the identical path to work. By witnessing this automatic scanning ritual, you're developing what researchers call meta-attention, awareness of where your awareness goes. This is the foundation skill that makes all other observer upgrades possible. Now comes the timeline shift phase. You're going to consciously redirect your attention toward 3 specific elements of your desired reality. But here's the key: you're going to observe them as if they're already present in your experience. Not as future goals or wishful fantasies, but as current facts your attention simply hasn't been trained to notice yet. Spend exactly 90 seconds on each element, feeling into the experience rather than thinking about it. The feeling component is what separates real observer upgrades from mental exercises. Your nervous system responds to emotional resonance, not logical concepts. When you can feel the reality of having what you want, not the wanting itself, but the actual having, you're training your attention to recognize that frequency when it shows up in your external environment. You're literally programming your observation system to spot evidence of your desired timeline. But here's where most people mess this up. They try to force specific outcomes instead of upgrading their observation capacity. The reset isn't about manifesting particular things. It's about rewiring your attention to notice opportunities, resources, and possibilities that support your desired experience. You're not trying to control reality. You're upgrading your ability to recognize which version of reality you're already living in. The final phase locks in the new programming through what's called intention anchoring. You're going to set a specific commitment to notice evidence supporting your desired timeline throughout the day, not forcing or seeking, simply remaining open to recognizing when elements of your preferred reality show up in unexpected ways. This creates what quantum physicists call coherent observation. Sustained attention that builds momentum toward a specific outcome. The real power of this technique emerges through consistent daily practice. Each morning reset creates stronger neural pathways for your new observation patterns while allowing old patterns to weaken through lack of attention. Within 2 weeks, most people report that their brain starts automatically scanning for different types of information. The shift happens gradually, then suddenly, as your entire reality begins reflecting your upgraded observation system. Advanced observers understand that timeline selection happens through what researchers call sustained coherent focus, maintaining attention on your desired reality even when external circumstances seem to contradict it. This is where most people fail catastrophically. They do their morning reset, feel great for a few hours, then let their attention get hijacked by the first problem, drama, or familiar pattern that shows up. By noon, they're back to observing their old timeline like the reset never happened. The key to locking in your new observation system lies in creating what neuroscientists call attention anchors, specific triggers throughout your day that automatically redirect your focus before it defaults to old patterns. Your phone notifications become reset reminders instead of attention thieves. Doorways become timeline checkpoints where you pause and consciously choose what to observe. Even bathroom breaks can become micro-resets that keep your observation system aligned with your desired reality. But here's the advanced technique that separates timeline masters from casual observers. You're going to start treating contradictory evidence as confirmation that your upgrade is working. When old patterns show up in your experience, instead of seeing them as proof that nothing's changing, you recognize them as your former timeline trying to maintain its grip on your attention. Every time you refuse to energize old patterns with focused observation, you're literally starving them of the attention energy they need to persist. This requires what quantum physicists call observer immunity, the ability to witness unwanted circumstances without getting emotionally entangled with them. You're not ignoring problems or pretending they don't exist. You're simply refusing to give them the sustained attention that keeps them active in your timeline. It's like being in a room with multiple radio stations playing simultaneously. You can hear them all, but you only tune into the frequency you want to amplify. The most powerful advanced technique involves something researchers call reality bridging, consciously observing elements of your desired timeline that already exist in your current circumstances, no matter how small. Maybe you want financial abundance, and your bank account shows $47. An amateur observer focuses on the lack. An advanced observer notices that $47 represents money flowing into their experience and uses that as evidence of their abundance timeline beginning to emerge. This isn't positive thinking or self-deception. It's training your attention to recognize the seeds of your desired reality that are already present but usually overlooked. Every relationship has moments of connection that could be expanded. Every financial situation contains resources that could be leveraged. Every health condition includes aspects of vitality that could be amplified. Advanced observers become incredibly skilled at finding these timeline bridges and using them as stepping stones to their desired experience. The ultimate advanced strategy involves what's called preemptive observation, training your attention to notice opportunities and possibilities before they fully manifest in your external circumstances. This requires developing almost supernatural sensitivity to subtle shifts in energy, unexpected conversations, sudden inspirations, and seemingly random events that actually represent your new timeline beginning to crystallize. Masters of this process report experiences that seem magical to outside observers. They consistently find themselves in the right place at the right time. Opportunities appear through synchronicities that feel orchestrated by invisible forces. Resources show up through channels they never could have predicted. But it's not magic. It's the natural result of attention that's been trained to recognize and select for a specific version of reality with laser-like precision and unwavering consistency. People who master observer upgrades report reality shifts that seem almost supernatural to outsiders, but follow predictable patterns when you understand the mechanics involved. Within the first week, most notice their brains starting to automatically scan for different types of information. Conversations begin containing unexpected opportunities. Random encounters lead to valuable connections. Problems that seemed permanent suddenly reveal simple solutions that were somehow invisible before. Sarah, a marketing executive, described her experience this way. "I'd been struggling with the same financial patterns for years, always barely making ends meet despite earning decent money. 3 weeks into practicing the observation reset, I started noticing money everywhere. Not just finding loose change, but recognizing investment opportunities in conversations, spotting undervalued items at garage sales, and somehow attracting freelance projects that perfectly matched my skills. The money was always there, I just hadn't been trained to see it." The shifts often start small but compound rapidly because upgraded attention creates what researchers call positive feedback loops. When you notice one element of your desired timeline, your brain becomes more sensitized to spotting similar patterns. Success breeds success, not through luck, but through improved observation skills that reveal opportunities most people's attention systems are programmed to filter out completely. Business owners report the most dramatic transformations because entrepreneurial success depends heavily on recognizing patterns others miss. Marcus, who owned a struggling restaurant, shifted his observation focus from daily problems to abundance indicators already present in his business. Within 6 weeks, he'd noticed and capitalized on 3 revenue streams that had existed for months but remained invisible to his problem-focused attention system. His monthly revenue doubled, not through harder work, but through upgraded awareness. Relationship transformations follow similar patterns but often surprise people with their speed and depth. When you stop observing your partner through the lens of old frustrations and start noticing evidence of love, appreciation, and connection that was always present, the relationship literally transforms from the inside out. Your changed observation creates space for different behaviors to emerge naturally, without force or manipulation. The most profound shifts happen in people's relationship with themselves. Chronic anxiety often dissolves when attention stops feeding fearful scenarios and starts recognizing safety, capability, and inner resources. Depression lifts as observation patterns shift from focusing on what's missing to noticing what's working, growing, and improving. Physical health improvements emerge as attention moves from symptoms to vitality, from limitations to possibilities. But here's what catches everyone off guard. The external changes often happen through completely unexpected channels. People expecting specific outcomes through predetermined paths discover their desired reality, manifesting through routes they never could have imagined. The upgraded observer doesn't just notice different things, it becomes sensitive to possibilities that exist outside conventional thinking patterns. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a neuroscientist studying attention and reality perception, explains it this way. When you upgrade your observation system, you're not just changing what you notice, you're literally changing which version of reality your nervous system has access to. The external world responds to internal shifts in awareness because consciousness and environment exist in constant feedback relationship. Upgrade your observer, and you automatically gain access to experiences that were always possible but previously invisible. The most successful timeline shifters develop what they call evidence addiction. They become as obsessed with noticing proof of their desired reality as they once were with observing their problems. This isn't toxic positivity or denial, it's sophisticated attention training that leverages the same neural mechanisms that once kept them trapped, now redirected toward liberation and expansion. Your attention is the remote control for your life experience, and right now most people have handed that remote to circumstances, media, other people's opinions, and autopilot patterns that were programmed years ago. Every moment of focus is literally a vote for which timeline continues. Every observation is a selection process happening at the quantum level of your reality. The version of life you're experiencing tomorrow depends entirely on what you choose to focus on today. The most mind-blowing realization is that you've already been doing this your entire life. You just haven't been doing it consciously. You're already a master at selecting reality through observation. You've just been selecting the same reality over and over again because your attention has been running on autopilot. The observer upgrade isn't about learning a new skill, it's about taking conscious control of a process that's been happening automatically in the background of your awareness. Think about this. If your current circumstances are the result of unconscious observation patterns, what becomes possible when you bring those patterns under conscious direction? What if the life you've been dreaming about isn't actually far away, but simply operating on a frequency your attention hasn't been trained to recognize yet? What if upgrading your observer is the missing piece that makes everything else you've tried actually work? The reality you observe tomorrow starts with the attention choices you make today. Your future timeline is being selected right now, in this moment, through where you choose to place your focus. The question isn't whether this works. Quantum physics has already proven that consciousness affects reality at the fundamental level. The question is whether you're ready to stop being an unconscious observer and start being an intentional architect of your experience. Every master of timeline selection started exactly where you are right now, realizing that their attention had been running their life instead of the other way around. The difference between people living their dream reality and people stuck in unwanted patterns isn't luck, circumstances, or natural talent. It's observation skills that can be upgraded starting tomorrow morning. If you're ready to take control of your reality selection process, try the 5-minute observation reset technique for the next 7 days and document what you notice. Share your experience in the comments below. What shifts in your external circumstances when you upgrade your internal observer? And if this video helped you understand the connection between attention and reality, make sure to subscribe because we're diving deeper into advanced consciousness techniques that most people never discover.